Hello students. Hello students. Now today we are going to start our unit number 1, that is the third lecture. So in the previous classes or in the previous lectures I taught you about this thing that the PSI is again a important subject, that is power system instrumentation, and instrumentation basically deals with the measurement purpose. Now instruments are used to measure something, are used to measure basically in a circuit, and in electrical circuit the measurement is very necessary. Why is it so? Because I have a circuit and three passive elements are connected, for example resistor, capacitor, inductor, and voltage I am giving to it, and through this voltage the current is flowing. So if I want to calculate the current value, one is the mathematical analysis, that is V is equals to IZ, or I is equals to V by Z, that is the mathematical analysis. But if I want practically, I want to calculate the value, I need some measuring instruments. For example, if I want to know the voltage value, I need a voltmeter. If I know the current value in a branch, if it is a series connection, parallel again, so many branches are there. So I need a ammeter. So I have to connect parallelly voltmeter, series ammeter, and then impedance is also there. So if I want to know the voltage across the resistor, I have to connect voltage across the resistor. If I want to know the current value or voltage value in a capacitor across the capacitor, so I have to connect again voltmeter. Again inductor is there, so I have to know the inductor value, so I have to connect the voltmeter across the inductor. So I know that if I want to measure, I having instruments, basic instruments or measuring instruments. So if I'm talking about the instruments, so instruments are necessary to for the measure purpose. So in basically power system, we having different uh, we can say components, and we have to measure their values. Basically their value means the component values. For example, I want to know the voltage, voltmeter is there. I want to know the current, ammeter is there. I want to know the power value, wattmeter is there. I want to know the energy, then watt hour meter is there. So many meters are there. Ohm meter is also there for the impedance. So for this the instrumentation is very necessary, because how can we say that in our house that 240 voltage is coming? As per the our Indian, or we can say Asian electrical system, we are working on 50 hertz frequency. In our houses, in domestic purpose, in a single supply, we know that the voltage between phase to neutral is 240. Okay, so 240 to 260 we can say, so it lies between 230 volt. So we can say 230 to 240 volt we will get, or we are getting. Okay, now how can we identify this? We need a voltmeter. Otherwise we can say now we are getting 240, 230, but we are getting, we are not knowing that we are actually we are getting this value. How can we know, or how can we get this value? We need a voltmeter. So we have to connect the voltmeter across the supply. Then now, for example, in our houses, in our domestic purpose, the switchboard consists of 6 ampere switch, but in the lower side you find the power switch, that is 15 ampere. 15 ampere, that consists of 15 ampere. So current is totally depend on the load, which type of load you are connecting. The current is totally depend on that load. So it is very necessary to how to measure the current, power, and all the basically variable values in power system. So we need instrumentation, we need some instruments to measure it. So from the previous lecture, basically in this lecture, the main and basic objectives are help the learner to understand different types of errors such as systematic, random, etc. So many errors are there, environmental, and we can say parallax error is there. So these are in the way. So we can say such as these types of error, and limit of errors. What are the limits? In which limit we have to work. Now help the learner to understand about standard deviation and mean of error. Now so many errors are there. Now how can we calculate? So we have to calculate with the help of standard deviation, or we have to calculate with the wheels of mean of error. Okay, so through this we can calculate the value. Understand? Through this we can calculate the value. The main and basic objectives are these. Now move forward. Arithmetic mean. Now, in the previous two lectures, I taught you or told you about the different types of error. Now, if I am getting the errors, so I have to do what? I have to basically do what? I have to sum up these errors. I have to take mean of the errors. For example, I am getting 10 different measurements, and now I want to know which measurement is correct and true. So I took what? I basically do what? I basically take arithmetic mean of the, these errors. Okay, for example, I am getting 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 for 4 times, 2.4 for 4 times, 2.3 for 2 times. Now I have to do what? Add all these and divide by 10. That is the arithmetic mean. And I know you also know about the arithmetic mean, because in statistical theory you know about how can we solve it. So arithmetic mean is there. Okay, arithmetic mean is there. Now, the best approximation that can be made of number of readings of the same quantity is the arithmetic mean. Now, the best approximation that can be made of number of readings of the same quantity is arithmetic mean. It is very useful, or we can say approximation method. It is also called mean value. We can also say that it is a what? It is a mean value. This means is computed by summing all the values and dividing by the number of measurements. So how can we calculate these? Compute by summing all the values. We can compute by which we can basically sum all these values. For example, I told you that we having 2.5 up to 4 times, 2.4 up to 4 times, and 2.3 up to 2 times. So 2.5 at 4 times, 2.4 at 4 times, 2.3 at 2 times, and divide by 10, because we having 10 measurements. So these comes in the arithmetic mean. Now this mean is computed by summing all the values and dividing by number of measurements. So now dispersion from the mean. Dispersion from the mean we can calculate with the figure which is given below. The property which denotes the extent to which the values are dispersed above the center value is termed as dispersion. Now, for example, I am getting the mean value 5. But now I am not get actually, if I make a curve or something, I am not getting the value nearer to 5. I am getting 4.2, 4.3. So it is dispersion. In case of this dispersion, it shows two sets of data. In one case, see here, it is looking like this. In this, we having two curves. This is x1, x2, x3, and x4. Here we having the curve 2. Here we having the curve 1. This denotes the curve 1. This denotes the curve 2. So curve 1 is greater than curve 2. Curve 1, obviously, it's having a higher area. It is working from x3 to x4, but here it is working from x1 to x2. So here is your y-axis, here is your x-axis, and h is given to you. So through this, greater precision and lower precision. As I earlier told you, that precision and accuracy are two things. In precision, we can say we are getting the nearby so many measurement, nearby, not accurate. But accurate is comes in the accuracy. So see here, through this term, what we can say that it also known as spread or scatter. This figure, two sets of data. In one case, curve 1, the values vary from x1 to x2, earlier told you, and in another curve 2, the values vary from x3 to x4. Through their center value is the same, clearly set of data represented by the curve 1 has a smaller dispersion than that of data represented by curve 2. Means curve 1 having the smaller dispersion, but curve 2 is basing higher dispersion. See, this thing are mean, but this is the whole value, but here we having the higher compared to this, because it is a lower dispersion, but it's having the higher dispersion from here to here, because this curve area is small but length is higher. Here it is a length, area is higher, length is very small, so this dispersion is lower compared to the previous one. So we can say dispersion from the mean. So we'll get the dispersion from the mean. Okay, so this is on the basis of different ranges and precision indices. Hope you understand about this thing. Now move forward. Now there are certain terms which must be defined as they from the basis defining the measure of dispersion of data. Now, if I want to measure the dispersion of data, so we have to work on 5 categories. First is the range, another is the deviation, third is the average deviation, fourth is the standard deviation, and fifth is the variance. So if I'm talking about the range all we know, limit, we can say the limit, because on which limit we have to work. You have to work for the certain limit. So limits are there. So that comes in the category of range. Range whole. Now, for example, you have to move from one house to second house. The distance between one to second house is 200 meters, but the range is 200 meters, and the limit is 1 to 2 house. So we can say this comes in the range. Now deviation is basically deviate from one thing. So deviation is there, average deviation is there, and now standard deviation. And then we having the variance. How can we calculate? Now see, range and deviation. See here, range and deviation basically. So now range and deviation we can also calculate with the help of the curve number 1, which I showed you earlier. That simplest possible measure of dispersion is the range. The possible measure of dispersion, simplest possible measure of dispersion. If I want to measure the dispersion, so simple, which is simple, is range, which is the difference between the greatest and the least value of the data. Now how can we calculate? Now the greatest value is 5, least value is 2, so 5 minus 2, that is 3. So dispersion will be 3. So the range of the curve is 1 is x2 minus x1, and that of the curve 2 is x4 x3. Now this is the range limit. Starting, I took an example before that I told you, you have to move from one house to second house. The distance between first to second house 200 meter. So 200 meter is the distance, range is 1 to 2, limit is 1 to 2. Okay, so similar to that one. Second is the deviation. So deviation is the departure of the observed reading from the arithmetic mean. Is the departure, or we can say deviation is departure from the observed reading from arithmetic mean. Now I calculate something from the arithmetic mean. So if I am getting the dispersion, deviation from that, that is known as the deviation group of readings. Now average and standard deviation. Now average deviation is what is defined as the sum of the absolute values. Is basically defined as the sum of some absolute values. Is defined as the sum of absolute values of deviations and divided by the number of readings. Average deviation is what? Sum of absolute values of deviation. So many deviation. For example, I am getting deviation from mean. So many values are there. So I have to do what? Divide by the number of readings. So many deviations, divide by the number of readings. For example, 10 deviation and 10 readings are there. So 10 divided by 10. We are getting 1. Hope you understand. Just read it. Now the absolute value of deviation is the value without respect to its sign. So it is the absolute value of deviation is the value without respect to its sign, whatever it is. Respect to sign means, for example, the negative deviation or positive deviation. If I'm taking an example, so I'm telling you about that. If I'm getting the negative, we can say negative deviation. Negative deviation means we are getting these things in the negative side, and we are getting the thing in the positive side. So without respect to sign, I have to do this. So that is average deviation. For example, now I'm taking an example here. Now 4 deviations value are there. Average deviation, that is -4, -3, +2, +1. So we have to do what? Divide by 4 readings instead of taking their sign, means without respect to its sign. After this, we having standard deviation. Now is defined as the square root of a sum of individual deviations or derivations, we can say squared, we can say squared, divide by the number of readings. It is the important term in analysis of random errors. This is very important terms in the we can say in the important terms in the analysis of random errors. Now if I want to know, or if I want to identify these are the random errors, so if random errors are more, so it is very good, or very, we can say, very useful or important term in analysis of random numbers. Understand? Now move forward. Variance. The variance is the mean square deviation. It is a mean square deviation. It is what? It is a mean square deviation, which is same as standard deviation, except the square root is not extracted. Not extracted. In the, it is similar to that one, but in this we are not extracted the square root. Okay, same, but in the standard deviation we having square root, but here we having square root extracted, not extracted. Understand? Now move forward. Basic steps in development of instrument. Now this is the basic theory. Basic theory is this. For example, see, first one, basic steps in the development of instrument. Now, why I'm telling you this about this thing? Because if I want to make or develop the instrument, so after development, we know that what errors we have to make or which type of error we have. So it is the relevant thing. Why it is relevant? Because I want to know, and you also want to know, and we also want to know that how development occurs in the instrument. For example, you want to purchase a mobile. So you having so many e-commerce platform, so many sites which sells you the mobile, so many shops are available nowadays. We are going through the pandemic, so having some limitations in the modified lockdown, so we have to purchase before 4. The shops will be open till 9 to 4, or we can say. But from the e-commerce site you have to purchase, but you look what you think what you have to just identify the which type of RAM you want, which type of memory you are wanting, basically which type of camera facility or which level of camera you want. So all these thing, brand is there, so all these thing comes in the development or basically purchasing. So through the development we have to know about the basic steps. Okay, now first is development of mathematical model for identification of parameters to be measured. Now development of mathematical model, if we have nothing, then we have to make the what? We have to make the mathematical model. Now mathematical model, if we want to make, so we have to develop some model for it. That will be in the nature of mathematical. So development of mathematical model for identification of parameters to be measured. Identification of parameters to be measured. Now which type of parameter or which type of basically development of model you have to make this thing. Secondly, identification of characteristic to be possessed by a general instruments. Which type of characteristic a general instrument needed? It is PMMC, permanent magnet moving coil, it is moving iron, whatever. Which type of instrument is this? Okay, so you have to look after it, you have to work for it, you have to think for it, and you have to basically do for it. That first make a mathematical model, then characteristic, which type of characteristics you want in the general instruments, so you have to think for it. Qualitative and quantitative models. Now quality is also there, but you have to work for quantity also. For example, you having an instrument company, and you got an order of 10,000 ammeters you have to make of mi type moving iron. So quality should you have to maintain, because error will be not there, least error will be there, and quantity 10,000 you have to work for it. So you have to think for both both condition, means quality and quantity. So in design you have to put this thing. Next, selection of geometrical and physical parameters, it is very necessary. It is very necessary, which for example you think in our labs we having practicals regarding this one. So in practical we having a meter, voltmeter, and measuring instruments. But in practical we having some panels. So one instrument you are finding in the outside, means a handle with a body, that is in the we can say bigger one, larger one in a size. But if you find some instruments which fitted, which basically indulge or include in a panel, that is having the small size. So bigger size, small size. So we have to think both for the this geometrical and physical parameters. Understand? Okay, now characteristics of measurement system. Now first of all, if I am talking about this thing, characteristic of measurement system. Now if I want to use in a system, so characteristics should be also follows. For example, I want to measure DC current, direct current. I want to measure DC, that is direct current. So MI and PMMC and MI both work for the DC. But limitation is there. If I want to measure MI, if I want to measure AC there, then MI is there. I have to work for MI. I have to choose MI. Understand? So these are the characteristics. So first, to choose the instrument most suited to a particular measurement application, we have to know the system characteristic. As I earlier told you, my dear student, I told you now this thing, that to choose the instrument means you want to measure direct current, you want to measure alternating current. So in direct current we use permanent magnet moving coil instrument. But for AC, we use moving iron. So you have to think for it. You have to work for it. That if I want to measure direct current, that is DC, so I have to use PMMC, not think other type. We think PMMC or MI. But if I am using AC, that only MI is option for me, not PMMC. So this line tells you, this statement tells you that to choose the instrument most suited to a particular measurement application, we have to know the system characteristic first, system characteristic. Secondly, the performance characteristics may be broadly divided into two groups, static and dynamic. Now, we are basically working in these two characteristics nowadays or daily. Daily because we having some static mind situations, some dynamic mind situations. We are working statically, we are working dynamically. So same thing occurs in this, that is static and dynamic. So two groups are there, static and dynamic characteristic. Static characteristics. Okay. The performance criteria for measurement of quantity that remain constant or vary only quite slowly. Now, if you're having a static mind that you have to do something for today, not is fixed your mind. Now you have to do and you will do that thing, you will not do another thing. That is static. So remain constant, and if you are changed, so some thing will be there. For example, you have to do 10 things in a day, you did 9 things in a day, or you did 11 things. So static will be 10. So you did more or you did less. So quite slowly, very quite slowly, not that dynamic. For example, you have to do 10 things, but you did only 2 things. That the day before, day after day means tomorrow I'll do more. So that is comes in the dynamic. Now, dynamic characteristic. The relationship between the system input and the output when measured quantity measured is varying rapidly. Now it is about dynamic. Now you have to do 10 things in a day, but you did only 2 things and think and 2 different things, not same things, which you have to do. So that comes in the dynamic. Okay. Now, generalized instrument system. First is the variable, thermal variable. See here, we having sensor because we are talking about the nowadays. So we having sensors there, processor, then display storage, and that is the observer, which observes this whole thing, which observes this whole thing. Okay. Now, possible types of transducer, which later on we'll talk about this transducer. But why I'm taking an example of transducer here, because transducer changes so many things. Transformer is an instrument or is a part of a system that basically convert one form of energy to the another form. Means we can convert thermal to electrical, electrical to thermal. Okay, piezoelectric crystal is a simple example. Through this, we can converting force into electrical power. So mechanical, electrical, thermal, chemical, hydraulic, acoustic, optical. So microphone and loudspeaker works in this category. So these are the possible types of transducer. So they are basically converting from one form to another. So we are using in this. Okay. So generalized instrument system comprise this all. This is the simple generalized instrument system which we work on it. First is the measurand, which measures. Okay. Then we having some primary sensing element. Measurand. For example, primary sensing element. Then we having the variable conversion element. Then we having the signal processing. Then we having the output display, and this is perceptible output which we want. Okay. Here we having some control and feedback. If feedback system is not there, we can't improve our input or output also. Why? Because through output we take some part to the input, that is feedback, and control will always there. Control is our mind, because we are controlling through our mind. If I am not controlling through mind, what happens? The thing will become worse. You do the abrupt things. You are not doing the right things. Okay. Okay, my dear student. So this is the control and feedback. So perceptible output is this one. Signal processing, output display, this power source, this all. Here we are having some data storage thing. It is basically the bidirectional work or unidirectional work. Some work is unidirectional, some work is bidirectional here. So signal processing is there, output display, then we having the data storage, data transmission is there, calibration is also there, and radiation which we are getting in the form of electric turn and other applied energy. So we can also calculate with this Just go through it, just read it or try to understand it. I hope you understand about this thing. This is the measurement, primary sensing animal, variable conversion element, because we want to convert it to different thing. Signal processing is there, output display is there, power sources are there, control and feedback are there, perceptible output is there, data transmission, data storage, calibration signal is also there, radiation, electric current or other applied energy. So these all are comprises in a single part, that is the instrument system generalized. Now, instrument form a connection of blocks. Now, if I want to make something, so we are making through some connections. A block diagram showing you about the connections. Here we having the membrane, environment being sense for humidity, for sense for humidity. Then we having the cantilever beam system, resistance strain gauge, electric bridge, and then output. So a calibration again adjust, through which we can adjust this whole thing. I hope you understand this block diagram. It is very simple to understand. It is a simple linear structure, we can say, to understand here. In this, in block, I am going to see you because it is a basic, but in a practical manner, we having some membrane system here. Okay. Then we having the cantilever beam is there, strain gauge is there, electric bridge is there. Then we get the output. Now, static performance of instrument. First is the systematic characteristic. Now, if I am talking about the static performance instrument, is basically depend, and it gives you the output, how it gives you the output and how it works for you. See, static performance is basically how it working and how we are working for it. Now, if I want something, if I want to purchase a mobile, the previous example I am taking again here to understand the system or understand this thing, that if I have an instrument or if want to purchase mobile, so I have to look after the performance at that mobile. Why I have to see the performance? That I I am daily I use something, or I basically play a game in a mobile, and I need a good capacity of RAM, random access memory, and good capacity of ROM, because we want to store something. So ROM is there, RAM is there. So I have to look after the RAM performance, which frequency, on which type, which frequency they are working, and which type of processor you have. So we have to look after the performance. Okay. So first is the systematic characteristic, then range, span, linearity, sensitivity, environmental effects, and hysteresis, resolution, that space. These are all, we can say, going forward again. Now, first is the systematic characteristic, then we having range, then we having span, then we having linearity, because linearity should be there. If it is not linear, how can we work that it is working like this? It is not working not like this, because it is not in the linear form. If it is not linear form, so we can't say it is in the proportional form. If it is in the proportionality, then it is working like this. So linearity is there. Then we having sensitivity. How sensitivity is this? Sensitivity is changing from input to output. If I change something in the input, it always gives output in the system. For example, I am taking an example of Sensodyne toothpaste, which you all have you seen in the TV. What this is the sensitivity. If I eat or if I drink cold, if it touches my teeth, it gives some senses to my teeth, which through this I am feeling very harsh, that my teeth is not working properly. I am feeling very cold through teeth, shivering is there, and some other thing. So that is sensitivity. Okay. Environmental effects, how I use in the environment, how it affects. Hysteresis is there, resolution is there. Okay. And then that space means basically the working where we have to do that space. Now moving forward, range. The input range defines the minimum and maximum value of variable to the measure. It is similar to that previous I told you. Range should be there in the errors. Same here in the instrument. That which range of error it works. It will give you the 5% error, positive 5% error, and minus 5% error. So minus 5 to 5% error will be there. But if your instrument giving 10% minus to 10% plus, that is the higher range. So that range increases. So minimum to maximum value is variable to measure. So we have to work for the range also. Range should be given. That you have to move. That I again telling you that you have to participate in a 100-meter race. So your 100-meter is the range for you. You have to start from 0 to 100-meter. You have to work from 0 to 100-meter. You have to run for 0 to 100-meter. So that will be the range for you, limit for you. Okay. Next, the output range defines the maximum, minimum, and maximum value of signal given by the transducer. If I'm taking a transducer here, why I'm talking about transducer all time? Because in instrument nowadays we are using transducer very wide, in a very wide range. Because now what we are doing, we are converting from one form of energy to the another form, one form of the energy to the another form. Now I'm taking an example of thermometer. I'm not taking an example. I'm not talking about the digital thermometer. I'm talking about the starting thermometer. That in that thermometer we having the mercury, which expands basically. So how thermometer working? Thermometer is checking your temperature with the displacement. How displacement? Now you use your thermometer, place in your mouth or whatever, wherever you use. Now if you are placing your thermometer at that place, if you are heat up, so what happens? Mercury expand and move on a scale. So displacement. So we are converting one form of energy to the another form. Okay. Now we are converting audio signal into electrical signal into audio signal. So nowadays we are using so many things. We are converting one from form to another form. Electrical to mechanical, mechanical to thermal, thermal to whatever it is, we can say acoustic and chemical, temperature, and all these things. So we are changing basically. So these are done by the transducer. So in the later unit, tell you about this whole thing. So transducer is, I'm using transducer time to time, because it's give you familiar with the transducer. Because in the next unit you are going to study about transducer. So understand, dear student. Now next, assume I am taking a example. Assume a temperature transducer which temperature range is from 100 degrees centigrade to 250 degrees centigrade, and the output range is given from 4 to 10 millivolt. So range is given, means your temperature will give you the reading from 100 centigrade is minimum to 250 250 degrees centigrade, and the output range is given from 4 to 10 millivolt. That is from the 4 to 10 millivolt, and 100 degree centigrade to 250 degree centigrade. Understand? These are the ranges. Now span basically. Span, we can say a gap in a simple way. That gap is there if I'm taking an example that I have to run for 100 meters, or I have to run from one house to second house. The distance between one to second house is 100 meters. So that's this gap between first house to second house, 1 to 2, that is 100 meter. So that 100-meter comes in the category of span. So span is what? 100 meter from one house to second house. I hope you understand this thing. Now the input span is the maximum change of input, and the output span is the maximum change of output. Now input span is the maximum change of the input. Input is, I'm talking about input and input and output also. So for input, if I'm talking about the input, dear student, so in the input, the changes in the input span means, for example, I'm taking an example, the thermometer. The thermometer is basically, in input, it basically measure up to 100 centigrade only, and gives output in the form of displacement is 10 meter. So in input it measures 100 degree centigrade, and in output it gives you 10 meter. I am taking very large example. 10 meter is very large. I'm changing to 10 meters to 10 centimeter. So it work for 10 centimeter only. So output is in the 10 centimeter form, but input is in the form of 100 degrees centigrade. That is your span. Now input span. For example, here I maximum minus I minimum. Now maximum is 100, minimum is 0. So 100 minus 0, you'll get 100. So input span will become 100. Okay. Now output span is basically O maximum minus O minimum. So dear student, O maximum is what? O maximum is what? Tell me. O maximum is what? O maximum is the output maximum and O minimum is the output minimum. Now minimum is 0 centimeter and maximum is 10 centimeters. So displacement is, maximum displacement will be 10 minus 0, that is 10 centimeter. And basically the, you can say the input for that thermometer is 100 span is 100 degrees centigrade, because maximum is 100 degrees centigrade, minimum is 0 degree. So 100 minus 0, we are getting 100 centigrade. So 100 centigrade in the input, and what happens for output? It will be what? It will be 10 centimeter. Now linearity. This is the figure. How can we show this here? That is the linearity. So through linearity, basically, we can say that the linearity will be show like V and I. V is proportional to I. So what happens if V is increasing, I is increasing. If I is increasing, V is increasing. If V is decreasing, I is also decreasing. So linearity will be there. Linearity is basically the relation between two quantities, we can say. Is basically the relation between the two quantities, that is output or input. So out between input and output, linearity should be there. If there is no relation between input and output, you are not getting actual reading always. Why is it so? Because if I am doing so, if I am doing this thing, so what happened, dear student? I am not getting the actual value. Why I am not getting the actual value, dear students? Because linearity shows the relation between input and output. If I am not getting the relation between input and output, so you are not get the right reading always. Okay, so see here, it is seen in this diagram. So first of all, it is normally desirable that output reading of an instrument is linearly proportional to the quantity being measured. The output reading of instrument should be proportional to the quantity being measured. If you are measured some current, that current should be proportional, means the value should be proportional, linearly proportional of output reading. Means if I want to measure 5 ampere in a ammeter, if input means measured value is 5, if this is not linearly proportional to the output, so how will you get the 5 value? You doesn't give, you never have the 5 ampere in the ammeter. In ammeter, you never find the pointer deflect from 0 to 5. Never ever. Why? Because you have no proportionality between linear proportionality. Because in input, you have to measure, output you have to show on the deflection, in the form of deflection on the tape, on the scale, in the form of pointer deflection. Understand? I hope you understand this thing. An instrument is considered if the relation between output and input can be fitted in a line. So, my dear student, linearity word is come from line, and I hope in the school level you have understand that line having some equation, that is y is equals to mx plus c. Okay, and mx plus c is basically, y is the axis is the axis, and m is the slope through y to y on the m, and c is the constant. If a line passes through the origin, that is 0 value, then the constant value will become 0 here, so you can remove it, and after removing that you can write the equation, that is y is equals to mx, y is equals to mx. Okay, and again we can also write a equation like this: y is equals to y, the total equation is equals to y minus y1 is equals to y2 minus y2 minus y1, we can say, upon x2 minus x1. Okay, we can say that, or not, that y minus y1 is equals to y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. That is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1 is the basically slope into x minus x1. So here my dear student, O maximum is basically the output maximum, and O minimum is basically the output minimum, and lies on which axis? Y axis. Okay, and I minimum is the input minimum, and I maximum is the input maximum, and lies again on which axis, my dear student? X axis. So we can fit in the equation similar to that one. So the equation is given to you. See, this is the equation linearity. Again here this is the equation O maximum this. So we can see like this, that we can find like this, the linearity will be there. Non-linearity will be there means you are taking basically the hyperbola curve, which work like this. The maximum value is this, minimum value is this. You'll find a curve like this. Okay, it work like this. Okay, so here we can find a equation here, that is O minus O minimum, that is output minus output minimum, is equals to output maximum minus output minimum by I input maximum minus input minimum into I input minus input minimum. So that equation, that same equation we are using, but instead of y or x, we are using O and I, because on y-axis we are having output, on x-axis we are having input. So if your instrument equation or relations between output input fitted in this equation, fitted in a line, so that equation you have to follow, you have to work for it. Understand, my dear student, or not? So we can also see here O minus O minimum. O minimum is 0. So O here. O maximum is what? Is some value, maybe 10, maybe 100, whatever it is. And O minimum is 0. So 100. I maximum is basically what? Is I maximum is the maximum value of input. That is the 10 ampere. And I minimum will be the 0. So 10 minus 0, 100 minus 0, 100 by 10, 10 into I, that is input, minus I minimum, that is 0. So that is I. Okay, so O is equals to 10 I, we can say, if I am having the 110 value this. So if we are finding the equation, or we having the basically the fitted in this, the equation fitted in this, we can say this thing. Okay, so output and input can be fitted in a line like this. So we have to follow this equation, and we can also see in this graph, in this simple linearity graph. Now next is simple non-linearity. If I am talking about the non-linearity, so non-linearity is defined as the maximum deviation of output over the straight line. So many deviation we can find like this. The deviation is there, the deviation is there. I maximum, I minimum should be found in a line, but now I'm not getting in a line, I'm getting like this. See, a slope is there, so deflection is there. So that is non-linearity. Non-linearity, and we can also call this non-linearity, my dear student. So I hope you understand. Try to understand, try to see this, that graph, and try to understand from this. Now see, the linearity shows like this, but here we having the slope like this. So we having some non-linearity we are finding here. Here we having again a non-linearity. So K is the ideal case. So no linearity can be quoted by, can be quoted, and we can also calculate by this thing, that n of I is equals to O of I minus K into I plus A. So that is the no linearity can be quoted by. We can calculate basically with the help of this, that is no linearity. And linearity we can calculate with the equation, that is y is equals to mx plus c. If non-linearity is there, then no equation will follow like this and in this form. Understand? I hope you understand about this thing. Okay, that is nonlinearity can be quoted. Now maximum percent of non-linearity we can also calculate with this help. N maximum I, that is input, O maximum, that is output, minus O minimum, that is output minimum, into 100, because I am talking about, my dear student, percentage. So but if I want to calculate the percentage, then we have to multiply that value with the 100. I hope you understand this thing. Try to understand, not try to learn it. Now move forward. Sensitivity. A sensitivity of measurement is a measure of the change in instrument output that occurs when the quantity being measured by a changes by a given amount. If I'm giving something in an input and if I'm changing it, so the reflection of that changes from input we'll find in the output. Some changes will be there, something will be your found. So that changes will basically called as a sensitivity. It is called as, or it is known as, or we can also say that it is a sensitivity. The word sensitivity come from sensitive. So you are sensitive. For example, if you are a sensible person, so you have to wear the mask if you are going outside your house, because pandemic is going on. Pandemic is nowadays we are fine. We are facing the pandemic in our country, in our state, in our city. So basically, if we want to go outside, so we have to follow three things: SMS, sanitization, mask, and social distancing. So mask is the main part, important part, and middle part, which basic working between these two. So mask is very we have to do this. So we are sensitive. So we have to wear the mask and we have to make the social distance. Okay. Now sensitivity is the ratio. How can we calculate and how can we tell the value? That is scale deflection. If I am measuring something, for example, I am taking a analog voltmeter, so deflection will be there, that is scale deflection to the value of measurand producing deflection. Measurand which we have to measure producing deflection, some deflection producing by the measurand, then the ratio of these two is called as the sensitivity ratio. Understand? Now environmental effects. As I earlier told you that we having some error due to environment. So these are the some environmental effects we can say, and we can also say that these are the errors. These are what? These are the some errors also occur. Now all calibration and specification of an instrument are only valid under control condition of temperature, pressure, etc. Now if I want to work, if a measuring instrument you are using that works in room temperature of 30 degree, that is the fix. Now up to 30 means the range is given to you, that is the range is given to 30 to 50, limit is given to, that is 30 to 50 degrees centigrade. Now up to 50 it is feasible that it can work, but if I am placing nearby the furnace near in the hot environment, or I want to do work in the outside, means outside, now outside temperature is higher, if I am thinking that it is more than 50 degree, then what happens? It doesn't give you the right reading. If pressure is there, I have to measure something and I put in the pressure, wind pressure is there outside, so again you are not getting the right reading, not right measurement. Okay. The standard ambient conditions are usually defined in the instrument specifications. So the standard ambient condition always defined in the instrument specification. Now if you go in a market, you want to go and if you want to purchase a meter, analog ammeter, so some conditions are given to you, some specifications are given to you, that you have to follow this thing. Ambient conditions are usually given to you. Specification we called as specification, that it gives you the value from 10 to 25 volt, works in 50 degree temperature, works in this 200 to 280 or 80 psi pressure, whatever. These are the specifications. A variation occurs in the ambient temperature, etc. Certain static instrument characteristic changes. As I earlier told you, if we having some changes temperature, if we make a variation in the ambient temperature, if I if I make this thing, so certain static instrument characteristic change, and the sensitivity to disturbance is a measure of magnitude of this change. As a variation occurs in the ambient temperature, etc., certain static instrument characteristic changes. Obviously, if I'm making the changes in the variation in the ambient temperature, what happens? Certain static instrument characteristic changes. My dear student, changes. Why? Because we are changing the temperature, and sensitivity to disturbance is a measure of a magnitude of this change. Such environmental changes affects instrument in two main ways, known as zero drift and sensitivity drift. Two things are there: zero drift and sensitivity drift. If changes are occurs, okay, zero drift, and sometime also known by the alternative term bias. That is alternative term bias. So these are the instrument drift. So later on I'll tell you about, or the next lecture I'll tell you about these drift. Will tell you hysteresis and backlash. I also tell you about this thing in the next lecture. Now these are some MCQs for you, some multiple choice question for you. So you have to do this thing. How can we calculate this thing? Standard deviation, error, uncertainty in measurement. How? These are some MCQs again for you. Random errors. I'm using this MCQs by because we are working on errors. So we have to do the MCQs on errors and all these things. I hope you understand this thing or try to remember this thing in for the future, because try to understand, not try to learn. If a student learn, it can be forget by them, by him, by her, by himself or herself. But if the student understand this thing, it never goes. Okay, so try to do it. These are the some MCQs. Try to do it. If you have any query, you can ask me later on or in the next lecture. These are the statistics and backlash. I tell you, I taught basically teach you about this thing. Tell you in the next lecture. So I hope you understand all these things. If you have any query, you can ask me, or anything you want to think, I can tell you later on. And you can also ask me in the later classes and all these things. Okay, I hope you understand. This is all from my side. Hope you understand, or hope you remember in the future also. Okay, my dear students. So these are the objective which we basically try to cover it in our lecture. In my lecture, I want to cover it. I covered almost thing. So any query you can ask me later on. Okay, students.